it good like this? Or like put it another way? I can put it in the...
Yeah, yes, you want. Kiddo?
I can put it here in the middle.
Oh, of course. Okay, not much time left before your liberation and exploration of Beirut and dancing and partying, whatever you want. Give us just perhaps 1 hour and a half more of your attention.
No, I'm just pencil.
So, what we wanted to discuss in this last session is how and what we expect a network, but how we organize ourselves. But knowing that this is an WHO MRO network, as I mentioned, it's not just a kind of group of experts that are willing to come together. You don't need us to do that, but we need you also. So there is a purpose and how we would basically, mobilize, our experts. Just to explain that, as Marie-Charlotte was alluding to, we often have a kind of groups that are task force or advisory groups that provide inputs for strategic direction, support the normative work development, review, what we have been doing, advise our regional director, the DG specifically, and then it can be more or less formalized with reporting and things like that. But at the regional office, we have been using this for a certain number of conditions, often also in some neglected condition where the expertise is not that easy to find, so we try actually together. And it lasts what it lasts, but basically often those people are within our roster, and we have them in consultation, and they invited as temporary advisor. We give some flexibility for the work, as we were mentioning, that we expect also you to be somehow a bit autonomous, but at the same time, what I would say, what we don't want to see is that, and Eric, is cautious because he has been working with us a couple of years now. He knows that we usually, as a part of an expert network, don't speak on behalf of WHO. You are contributing to the effort of the organization. You're providing your advice on your personal capacity and not as an organization. And we have some aspect about disclosure that actually you have signed, I think, before even attending this meeting. So these are some important elements that it's not because you are here that you represent the view of WHO. You are presenting your views, and they are valuable for us, but the organization might still decide how we make use of those recommendations or not, publish it or not. And this has implication in terms of the way you would express this, in your different countries, but also the use of logos, of course, sponsoring, or ask for endorsement that might come. I don't want to preempt the discussion by saying, oh, this is all negative, but there are important elements that to understand what is the role of someone sitting as a temporary advisor for WHO. This is something different from maybe other formal arrangement and groups. Now, we have drafted for you term of references that are quite generic, but quite focused at the same time, because basically this group has an aim. An aim is to develop a draft action plan to improve the situation of palliative care in the EMR. So it's generic enough, while at the same time allowing us to already have a focus on something that we would like to deliver upon. But we wanted you to go through maybe this document, provide some feedback, immediate feedback, and we can refine it. And I will then open the discussion about membership, the number, who is here and who should be part but has not been able to be here. How can we co-opt? And you are all mainly professionals and clinicians. We mentioned about civil society, NGOs, patient representative. Do we need to expand the group? And for us, I mean, there are implications also in somehow for resources. I mean, as you have seen, to bring together 20 or 30 people have implication for us. So it doesn't mean that we want to be restrictive. We want the information to be disseminated across the 22 countries. And Marie-Charlotte was mentioning, ideally, we should have a representative for each single country. In the past, we have not always been doing that, sometimes because there is no specific activities and the contribution, it was difficult to identify a focal point in all countries, and also from issues of cost. Every time you organize it, you basically have to have all the people representative with the visa issues and the decision of where you are going to organize it, because in many of the countries, as you know, and specifically in this region, we systematically have people that do not have access because of the visa. So Lebanon is quite more easily, accessible country, but even in Egypt, when I do a regional meeting, I have at least 2-3 countries that are systematically not around the table. So we need to anticipate that this has also operational implication when we want to gather all together. But as part of the membership, I think I don't want to be restrictive, but just to keep in mind that the criteria for me would be a wide representation in terms of country setting, expenses, income, and representing really the full set of our countries. As you mentioned, maybe those countries also that have in peculiar settings of conflicts and humanitarian emergencies might be important to have because they have also something to say, and also maybe some aspect of gender balance, but I think it was not a problem. What? Well, I don't know if this is something that is palliative care community are mainly represented by women, so this will not be addressed. But anyway, these are the points that I wanted to highlight. So maybe take the time to go through the term of references, and I will just then open the floor for a first round of remarks, and we can discuss further about specifically the selection of the membership and who might be involved that have not been involved yet. So maybe 5 minutes, just the time. I don't know if you have taken the time to read the term of references document, and if you want to make remark, then open the floor. Any things that you wanted to say that I didn't mention? Comparison to the rheumatic heart. No, just my short mentioning about the number. Huh? That each country might be given at least
I already got comments, so I'm going to keep my mouth shut because I think I'm talking to
You mentioned it already. But we mentioned not about it. But we so that we mentioned about it. Yes. So what's the point?
The point is our draft term of references for what will be a regional palliative expert network. So we would like to have the feedback on this. Are there changes in the formulation, or there things that are not clear or require clarification? Would you suggest an amendment, and we can discuss? As I mentioned, they are quite generic in their formulation, but at the same time addressing what we want to achieve around the draft, developing it. And maybe the draft is not something that we need to mention, because we would like at the end of the day to have an action plan, or having something that is more on the long-term perspective. But we thought that sometimes those groups are temporary, and they have like a task force, they have a limited time frame because they're supposed to achieve something. And for me, it was perhaps this objective is to start with this test. And this is why we mentioned explicitly a draft, finalizing a draft roadmap, because this is actually our aim, and that we can discuss later on whether this has to be changed if we have achieved this.
So the time frame for membership is 2 years.
Yeah. But all those points are open to discussion. Just for us, it's in line with the development of the roadmap that we have this time frame of 2 years. So let's have a round of, so whoever wants to take the floor can start.
So, again, I'm not very familiar with WHO language, but under the purpose it says to provide technical support. And to me that implies just providing feedback and not actually doing the groundwork. Maybe I'm wrong, but is it just, giving opinions and then going home? Because my sense is it's a working group as well, because we're going to be working on reports. So to serve as a working group and provide technical support, and I think that gives it more meat, and the expected output is higher, unless technical support is that.
Well, in one of the bullet points, we refer to those aspects of strategic direction, policy prioritization, putting this on the agenda, and there is an aspect of operational and technical support was usually referring more to the technical assistance that directly provided also to countries, and that might encompass, different elements, like you can go and evaluate and support, implementation at the country level. But strategic direction plus, the operational or technical support. But Marie-Charlotte?
Just to clarify maybe on this, this group is established by MRO, so your first objective is to provide advice to MRO. Now, maybe, and I'm quite sure my legal department would ask me to say that if you provide technical support to countries, this is upon WHO request.
Yes.
So, well, it's implicit, but sometimes
it's assisting. We haven't put in the wording a direct support from the expert that might decide, okay, we go to country, we organize a mission among ourselves. Is assisting the work plan, our strategy, our support to country. So the way it was drafted is that to assist and advise the regional office, which is the third bullet point. And this encompasses strategic direction, which is more, as I mentioned, the highest level about what we discussed, the policy, how you put this on the agenda, but also aspect of operational and technical support, which are more how we move this into a roadmap, implementation, support to country mission. And we might call upon your expertise to say, okay, this country have made a request, we would like to develop part of this roadmap, can you help us do it? And then we might say, okay, maybe 2-3 people might be volunteering from this expert to come with me in a country, discuss it, try to see what can be done. It can be a consultancy that I might say, okay, they have a roster here, you are part of the network, but this is maybe something that will require substantial time and dedication. We contract you as part of the roster of network to do some specific work. But all this relates to our work to support countries. It's similar to the...
maybe we could just add a small paragraph on that modalities of work. I'm thinking what you were saying, Slim, about meetings. Obviously, most of the work is done before and after the meetings. So it has to be clear that this group is active in the meetings.
Yeah.
We talk about webinars, etc. But also eventually country activities.
We can maybe change. I don't really like the title "Understanding." It could be something like modalities of work and what we basically intend, particularly.
And my other main comment was just about the number limit of 10.
Yeah.
I don't know, I mean, I don't know if this group can stand more than 10. I think it
Yes.
might be good to have more than 10.
No, and
I
this-
know the resource limitation issue and flying people in and out and stuff like that.
I mean, it will depend. You say if you organize it once a year and they can plan it in advance, it's not a big deal. I mean, we have regional meetings to have even 22, 30 people, but it's just that we were thinking of this, plus the countries that haven't really any focal point clearly identified. So we might then touch upon NGOs. I was thinking of Afghanistan or others. They are starting, but it's difficult to identify maybe some people. I don't have a strong, I think we shouldn't be excluding people just because of the cost it might require, because then we can have a lot of discussion that maybe do not necessarily go on a face-to-face. It was the first inception. We can have one once a year. Ideally, I would like to see the 22 countries being represented with all the limitation that we might face to bring all those people in one place. But, okay, yeah.
Minimum 10 countries.
A minimum.
This is the minimum 10. But if all
I don't know if there is a minimum or maximum. I mean, it's just that we know that we have 22 countries to serve.
We are 22 countries in the Middle East
Yes.
area. And 10 is not at all even the half of it.
No.
Number two, there are those that are already having an integrated plan and those that we do not know anything about.
Yeah, yes.
And also in the same country, there is a discrepancy between the services presented.
Yeah.
There is also a dichotomy. It's used, said that when you heard about palliative care for children, it was news. You meant for cancer or for other disease when you were talking about?
No, it was for palliative care, for pediatric palliative care, which is for the pediatric palliative care, not even for cancer. I mean, for cancer, we know, I mean, there are, yes.
So I mean, you need to keep a bigger number.
Of course, I mean, I have no strong view. We were just drafting this, so it's really open. My view is that we are serving 22 countries, and if there's nothing in some of the countries, we might promote and support those countries more to develop it. I mean, give you an example. I mean, Afghanistan, we did a mission. They want now to have a cancer strategy being developed. We did an impact mission a year ago, and they put palliative care as part of the element that they would like to support. But we are starting almost from scratch. So they require a lot of effort and support. And I mean, if one day I'm telling you now, can you come with us to Kabul? I'm not sure how many would be ready to go, but we can test the idea. But no, this said, I mean, my point is that I think the 22 countries should be represented. We can then figure out.
Not necessarily.
Not necessarily, yes.
And there might be two people from the same country.
Yes. So no minimum, no maximum, and the maximum is all the MR countries, and that's it, I think. Yeah. Okay. Do we have an agreement on that? That no capping, but no limit as well in terms of number. We can work if we have two countries that want to work, and even if there are more. But I wouldn't try to push for having also a minimum number, because basically it doesn't really make sense. But we agree on that?
Yeah, I wanted to understanding. Number one, members will be invited as individual,
Yes.
not representative of their organization. It's okay, but this is contradict number 4, individual and expert network will be selected by WHO IMRO with feedback from WHO country offices.
Yes.
So what is the meaning of that?
So it means that, one, we are not asking Ministry of Health to nominate, because when we do it often, we don't necessarily have the person that we would like to have, that we know they are the doers.
Yes.
This is a problem we are facing sometimes in our regional meetings. It's something that it's a nomination. We have to go through member state. We are a member state-driven organization, but sometimes we know people that are the one like you, that are a bit the shakers, the movers, the doers, and we would like to have that flexibility to select the people. But at the same time, there is a sensitivity because we are representing our member state and ministries. So we need to go back through the country office to say, okay, this is someone that we have identified as being an expert in palliative care in this country. Is it okay for you? Most of the time,
If they say no, it's
Well,
not,
but
we
they
can put other alternative person.
well, at the end of the day, that person is supposed to help move a national agenda. So I need to be cautious about this, because how are you going to move the situation in Kuwait if the person cannot work with the Ministry of Health? It might be an issue for us, and we have it in the past, and we know the example we are doing now, that we are selecting someone is the right expert. But unfortunately, this is the political dimension of it, is that that person is not necessarily, the one that the Ministry of Health want to work. So we need to find an alternative. And this, it's a realpolitik. We need to also understand that we are working through ministries and supporting Ministry of Health. We want to expand to all the civil society, the academia, but sometimes we have some limitation to do that.
Actually, this network aims to help to establish technical support for the World Health Organization, the field of palliative care. But at the end, if it's proper to use this term, the customer is the government.
Yeah.
So we are talking from our point of view, but what about the receiver,
Yeah.
the health governments, the health ministers?
We have flexibility at a regional level to launch regional initiative. I have a microphone. Yeah, so at a regional office or at HQ, we have some flexibility to develop tools to support our member state. But as I mentioned, I'm not doing planning at the country level. We are supporting through a regional initiative the exercise that needs to happen through our country offices. Is that now I have to go back to my colleagues working in country offices that have a plan of work on 2 years as well with the Ministry of Health in Egypt. And so, okay, as part of your plan, where does palliative care fit? Can we try to find the entry point and support them with the tools, with whatever we are developing here as part of this collective effort to support? But as you rightly mentioned, the end users is the Ministry of Health as an entry point. We have other sectors. In our field of NCD, one of the constraints we are facing and a bit in the palliative care is that it's depending of much more than the Ministry of Health, and other sectors should be involved. We often have difficulty to open up discussion and budgetary lines and support to other sectors and other ministries. But like, on tobacco control, you need to look at the trade, you need to look at the finance, and sometimes we have a bit of sensitivity from the Ministry of Health for us to open up discussion with members of the society that are beyond, or other sectors that are beyond the health sector. But primarily, this is our interlocutor. So
What we have to keep in mind that we are doing what member states asked us to do when they adopted the resolution. So the mandate is given by the member states because they are our bosses. So we do what they ask us to do. But this technical work is to implement the resolution. So if there is questions, for example, at the level of national authorities, you can say, well, you committed to do this. And what we're doing now with WHO is the technical implementation. So it's not a political commitment, there's technical work with countries to be consistent with the commitment. So I think we have the framework, which is the mandate given. And what we do is to develop technical tools, guidelines, or provide technical assistance to countries within this mandate. And we are not doing anything which would be beyond this mandate.
I think it's important that you adopt that language if you are working as temporary advisor for WHO, is that what will protect you is also to use a resolution. This is what your member state, your countries, your government has adopted as part of the World Health Assembly resolution. And what we are doing now is trying to operationalize this, implement it, and support country to move forward. I think it's an important element to consider. It's not a private enterprise. It's not an initiative on academia. It's not one group or one NGOs. I'm working to support WHO regional offices in implementing the commitment made under the resolution 77. And this is, I think, an important element that you need to carry as part of, if you are part of the network, the interaction that you might have with your government and official representative of the Ministry of Health.
So first, back to your original comment. As Malisha Luck knows, I made a few mistakes when I went to WHO, and I think we need to take care in this group of our WHO colleagues, in particular, Dr. Slama, because I think in a way what we do could reflect on him. So, for example, I used slides with a WHO logo on them when I was no longer a staff member. Not acceptable. This could get our leader in trouble. So we need to be really circumspect and really careful that we do not speak for WHO. Let's not get, this is amazing, the initiative that Emro is taking. Let's not get him punished for doing a good deed, which so often happens. A couple of specific comments. On the first page at the bottom, the last sentence, this regional roadmap on palliative care will operationalize the palliative care aspects of WHO resolutions 67.19 and 70.12.
Mm-hmm.
I would put both of those resolutions. On the second page, first item under responsibilities of the expert network, I would suggest writing, well, I guess the idea is to draft a final version within 2 years. Is that why you wrote finalize a draft?
The word final doesn't sit right with me.
It doesn't.
I think it's an evolving document.
Yes.
So to draft a regional roadmap
Yes.
without the word final.
So what I would suggest is to draft a roadmap on palliative care that is useful and adaptable for any country in the EMR. So again, to draft a roadmap on palliative care that is useful and adaptable for any country, for all countries.
Actually, the secretary actually have to finalize.
Sorry?
It's responsibility of the secretary actually to finalize.
So we have to say finalize.
No, it's not the network, it's our.
Good. And then the only other comment I had was, I noticed when we were preparing these estimates of need with Miranda that the lowest income countries could not be represented here for one reason or another. So, and I understand that some countries just don't have a palliative care leader, but I wonder if in the membership or in the recruiting of membership of this group, there could be some prioritization of the lowest income countries.
No, but now we said that, we would like to reach out to all 22 member states. We would just need to figure out and maybe mobilize the network to identify maybe some of the people that you might think. We have had waves of selection with Hiba about discussing who might be the person coming from different countries, and this is how we found out about you. Through the network that Eric and Hiba personally had. We had also some recent missions when we go to countries allow us to identify. So we had in Palestine, for instance, recently, NGOs and also the colleagues from Augusta Victoria, which is the main hospital for cancer care in Jerusalem. In Afghanistan, we did a mission, but there is limited contact. In Yemen, it's very difficult at the moment with basically two partition with two member states. Same a bit for Libya, but we have a lot of interest in Libya, for instance, on cancer. So I don't know if there is, and we have some contact there. So we just need to reactivate perhaps through the network for those countries that are whether in conflicts or in low-income settings or both that were not represented here, maybe to expand the list and the people, and then we can share the report and try to mobilize them, maybe have some telecalls that just to put them up to speed if they have to integrate them in some of the working group and move on. But I think
And
it's...
maybe even if people can be identified, even if not much is happening in Yemen or in Afghanistan, but there's some indication that there's someone who's interested, their participation in this group could also be a chance for informal mentoring and establishing relationships. And, you know, then we could maybe get them a scholarship to come for the palliative care training course at Harvard, or to you know, begin as a spin-off from this group.
Yeah, just the validation. I mean, we did the same before, because, okay, you can read an article on the experience of palliative care in Afghanistan that someone wrote 5 years ago. Then you can try to find the person. Actually, we did it, but then, I mean, I have some exchange of email. That's okay, but I'm not sure that this is the person I would like to invite. I don't know. And then you need to validate through. Yeah, exactly. So
mistakes may be made. But
so this is where we need you, if you have, I mean, people that you know in those countries, and we can make a list of the countries that are missing, and the people that, because there are countries that we have identified someone but couldn't attend, but there are, I mean, some countries where we haven't really explored because we don't know who to reach out to. But in principle, yes, I mean, we'll make this additional effort to try to include for each of the country at least one person. Another aspect, and I alluded to, I wanted to have your views, is, I mean, many of you are clinicians or in public health facilities, and I think the representation of oncologists is quite also important, which, I mean, the entry point of palliative care. But I was thinking that, can we really make an effort to have maybe patient groups, civil society representative, NGOs that are, might help us in the advocacy in different way than maybe just the organization of services or whatever, or even on patient satisfaction outcomes, all the aspect of the work that we have highlighted, they might be involved in some way or another. So, because we had some example that, I mean, Tunisia was one of the examples that finally couldn't make it. There was one NGO there. Palestine, we identified someone as well. But I don't know, I mean, if you have other names that specifically, I mean, might cover the subgroup, it would be.
I have couples of physicians, but they are working in Saudi, but they know well what's happening in Yemen.
So maybe as part of the follow-up, if we can activate a bit your network and we can set, I mean, the country where we are missing out people, and maybe the list of NGOs. The list in NGOs, I think, and civil society representative, that might be a coalition at a regional level to channel our message and get maybe this advocacy out, might be also important to have in any case as part of the policy and the advocacy. This could be, I mean, a amplificator of what we would like to achieve. So I think it might be good that at one stage we have a specific focus on what are the non-governmental organization, patient groups. The only issue with that is in the past is the potential funding and the private sector funding of those entities, because it's like everything in the real world is not always neutral, and there is a lot of lobby group behind those NGOs that accept a lot of money. So when we do, I mean, if we're entering and inviting them, we need to have a look a bit of those source of funding and whether you know to whom they might be affiliated, because we had in the past some some expenses and not necessarily the very positive ones. So
this expert network will be meeting every 2 years or every year?
it's up to you and up to the work, up to what you will be able to achieve. And also in terms of resource-wise, I mean, I might be able to commit maybe once a year that is okay. In principle, we'd like at least to meet once a year to review the progress and replan. But beyond that, I clearly cannot, I mean, say, okay, this is something that every 6 months you have a face-to-face meeting.
I think the most important is to have virtual meetings for the working groups. To really be sure you keep the momentum so that you have regular conference calls and deliver. I always say the example of the guys we developed these 0 face-to-face meetings. This is not very frequent in WHO, but I think it's when a group is established, it's easier to work like that, and because of time, of the planet and many reasons, we should try to have a maximum of virtual meetings.
I think the technology now allows it, and we're all very busy, so traveling is a lot of time, and it's a lot of money, and trying to depend more on virtual meetings is maybe, yes, output is important, but also maybe following when people are meeting and the frequency and how involved and engaged they are should be one of the things that we look at to see, to make sure that the group remains active.
In reality, I think virtual meeting is the best way, but we need at least in 6 months' time, face-to-face, to finalize everything and one group. So the decline would be suitable for all the work that we did it, we need to finalize it and apply it as face-to-face. And it can be suitable because we have so many conferences in palliative care worldwide. We can have a day.
That's good.
Yeah.
So the European Association.
Whatever, even in USA, Canada, even in South Asia, there is a lot of too many.
Yeah, I cannot be, I mean, as a network for MRO, I will not justify that we organize it in Hawaii the next meeting. So it has to be in the region, most probably, yes.
There is a wide number of conferences in the region.
But this could be, I mean, something that you help us, that if you have an event planner that you foresee, okay, these are a number of entry points or conferences that are on palliative care in the region, so that we can anticipate. I don't know if we will do it, I mean, for next year before the RC. We might think about it if there is, I mean, really, let's see how the work, I mean, proceed. But if, I mean, before the summer or something like that, we want to have a kind of another get-together. So, okay, this is what we have achieved in preparation, because I know during the summer there is nothing that will be achieved. So basically, it's whether we are ready or more or less ready around June, July, and then actually October it will be too late. So we might have this face-to-face, depending of our resources and the planning. But I would like also to see what happened from now on through maybe a set of webinars. There are things that we can facilitate, and I think we need to facilitate at the beginning so that people get into it. And then ideally, each of the working group, if I can have someone from at least 1 or 2 persons from the working group that are our direct interlocutor as a lead, as a chair for the group, or you can then decide of how you organize yourself, whether you have a co-chairing, so that at least if someone cannot make it, the other one, but at least you have an agenda for each of these webinar session, and you have someone that lead a bit the discussion. We can facilitate, but I'm not necessarily there to cover 3 working groups in parallel. You might have different agenda and have telecalls 3 times a week. This would not be possible. So I think that what I was envisaging is that once you have now this working group, you can put a certain number of webinar calendar. We'll probably be there. I mean, in any case, one of the team, and at least for the first one, to see how things are planned. And as we go, perhaps, I mean, gaining a bit of autonomy and letting also the group work on specific issues that are more technical discussion. And then we can, from time to time, reconvey the full group maybe so that everybody is on board about the progress that are made. This, we can, it's quite manageable if we have only 3 groups. So do not expand too much the number of working group because it will be difficult for us also to manage. But I think this is how we could do it. No.
For the human resources, I suggest every 2 weeks, half an hour when you start or whatnot. What do you think?
Yeah, I think we should have another two colleagues are supposed to join from Egypt and Jordan.
So we
I
send them
think
emails.
you as a coordinator, probably you have to contact them as well and see their agenda. And then we can make a group and communicate on the group according to our convenience of all the participants. And start whatever virtual meeting.
I think for the first meeting, I would suggest you that you just wait at least for the draft or the report so that people are all on the same page, get a sense of what has been discussed, the stream of work, and then, maybe we can facilitate with giving a short briefing through a webinar that these are the working group, the themes that have been, and then we can give it to you, the space to how you want to organize in the follow-up. I might not be sure that, given the number of agenda in our portfolio, to be able to, assist in a 2-week under 3 streams of work, it would be a bit too much for me. But at least to have periodic point of contact where we say, okay, this is what we have discussed, the point, having an agenda, and these are the timeline, and as we move, and I think from time to time, all the group need to hear about what others are doing, so we are, specifically because these are, very much interrelated stream of work, so it would be difficult to see just those 3 groups working in isolation. So from time to time, I think it might be good that we reconvey so that we see how the progress are made. So membership number, we address it. The term of references, the time period is 2 years related to the action plan. The validation process, we will send the name of the participants that are here to your respective desk officers or a representative of WHO, asking them, this is the person that we would like to include as part of an expert network. Are you okay? Let's see what will come out. But usually, we don't have any problem most of the time. Are you okay with that procedure?
I think we can have the attendance sheet for this 2 days workshop.
Okay.
Or appreciation letter.
Okay. I will have to think about this. Yeah. We didn't prepare it, but we can even send it later and sign.
Okay, then we will start a platform and send out something within the.
Yes, it reminds me. What we can facilitate is, as we mentioned, a place perhaps where we can share the document and have this chat. I don't know how you want to organize it then, if having by group, but I think that if we can have at least one space for all the network, then we can have different files.
You can have one group and then you have subgroups.
Subgroups, exactly.
And then you can have a calendar.
Yeah. So we'll try to send you this called Easy Collab, which is a platform that we have also for collaboration that would allow also the group to exchange directly on the platform or through email that goes on the platform, having a library, having a calendar. And this could be a tool to facilitate a bit the work at the beginning. That's it. Any other remarks, suggestions on how we would organize ourselves?
Do you want to decide chairs of the working groups now when we're all here? The 3 working groups, please?
Yeah, why not? Yeah, we can suggest. For the policy group, we need to, I don't know if we can project it again, but I don't remember who has listed. Sorry.
Since Richard's not here, I vote for, I nominate Richard.
Well, maybe Nafta would like to chair the human resources, so. I stopped chairing, I'd like to be a coordinator. Because
Yes,
yeah.
which is
These people are my mentors and trainers. Or three.
you mean on the second group?
Yes.
Yes.
Call me a coordinator.
Okay. So Nahla for the second group. For the second group on aspect of human resources training curriculum, now. Hiba, on the policy. Or Rick or Richard. We can tell the problem is not here, but we can ask. We can ask.
That's his fault for leaving early.
You know,
It's punishment.
if Richard doesn't want it, I can take the lead, but I'm assuming Richard wants it.
I think
Okay,
so.
okay. So we can provisionally put Richard for the first one. And the third one,
Clinical service.
Either people or.
Eric?
For the minimum package.
Yeah.
Sure.
Good.
So we are free? No.
The case studies, is that you took the lead on that?
Yeah, it's not just.
But it's all actually the group encompass minimal package, case studies, and the quality aspects. Actually, it's all the service group. The report, Nassim. She's good at nagging. So let me thank you all for your active participation. It was really a pleasure meeting you, and it's nice when we have the occasion, even it's not always the case, to have a face-to-face meeting and being able to see what's happening in your respective country. And as we mentioned in the introduction, you are all pioneers in this field, so it's very, for us a pleasure to see, all those efforts that had been put for some, for years and years, and all the career has been spent in trying to move this agenda forward. So this is my main motivation as a regional advisor when I see things that are beyond the papers, the frameworks, the strategies, but really, faces of people that are trying to make actual changes on the ground. And this is the main driver for WHO staff, is to see how this region is trying actually, despite the complexity and the difficulty we are facing, that no other region perhaps at the moment have comparable in terms of complex environment, but at a political level, epidemiological level. So I think it's really, for me, a source of inspiration, and it keeps me going to support this region when I see that there are people that are really fighting all the day to make things better in situations that are not easy at all. So we are privileged to work with you and to serve you and your countries in the future. Thank you very much.
Really, I'm in awe, and I don't know where to start, because one, to have you, my chairman, with us is really, when you said you wanted to come, I couldn't believe it. To have you and your support from HQ, I think, is a big driver for all of us, so thank you for being with us. And then from the regional office, we are so lucky to have such a team, and I don't have many comparisons, very few, but Eric has many comparisons, and I can say that this team including Rana, who's not with us, is amazing. And to have your support and feel your passion about driving this forward like ours. I don't know if you have the same passion for diabetes and because how can you? It's really, this is amazing to have you behind us, and I think it's encouraging for all of us, and we will all go back home feeling like we have allies on the regional level helping us move things forward. So thank you, and thank you. You and Richard, who are our experts who came and joined us and shared your expertise from other experiences. That's been invaluable. And I speak, I think, on behalf of everyone that your input has been wonderful. And all the experts and the people working in the region, it's always wonderful to see you and to hear about your experiences. And we think we know so much, but then we hear about what's going on in your countries, and I think we all learn a lot from each other. And Layal and Miranda and all of the people who have been supporting us and are going to carry this through, because when we go back home, we'll forget and start diving into the details of our daily lives. And for you to help us keep this moving, it's been invaluable, and I hope it's been an interesting experience for you guys. And the technical team, you guys, you've really made this very seamless and very smooth, except for the fire alarm. You did a perfect job, and you've moved tables with us. You've been wonderful, and it's been great working with you. So thank you very much.
Both of them?
Yes.
It's very inspirational for me to meet all of you and to see the obstacles and barriers you're dealing with. I have had the privilege of working in most WHO regions. I've never seen a meeting like this, and I've never, there's some wonderful NCD coordinators in other regions, but I've never met such passion and drive, and obstinacy was the word you used, I think. So this is an opportunity for everyone in the region, and for all of your patients. So we've got headquarters here. Again, I have also never seen headquarters and regional office and the country office in the same room, and this is fantastic. So let's make use of this. We have each other. We have a fantastic support from WHO. So let's use this. And then I just also think we all need to thank our hosts and the American University of Beirut Medical Center, Dean Taher, Dr. Taher, and especially Hiba, who very selflessly works 28 hours a day on many things and has also made this possible along with Emro. So thank you for inviting us.
These 2 days were entirely recorded.
Oh God.
And yesterday I went, actually you could have 2 hours and a half of all our discussion captured. So if you want to share it, feel free. I think we have the link on the YouTube yesterday. I don't know if it's something that is temporarily on the UMBC website.
With the link, can we go back?
Yeah, not in the bottom.
Okay. So they'll send us the link once it's ready. Yeah. Thank you.
So if you can go dancing tonight.
Well, you're coming. Okay.
So we actually finished early. That's another.